This car right behind me is the best driving electric car available on the market today, hands down by a country mile. This, of course, is the Lotus Emeyar R+, and my name is Elliot Richards. So let me tell you very quickly about the Emeyar. This is the third electric car from the rebirth of Lotus, and it's after the big SUV. This is the sporty sedan, and we've got the R+ version today, which is the even more sportier one. Now this car comes in at a price of £66,000 here in China. In the UK it starts at £90,000, so at 66 it becomes quite an attractive proposition. Now you may be wondering what Lotus NYO means. NYO is because of a trademark issue. Basically that's the name of Lotus here in China. If we take a quick look at the exterior of the Emeyar, it's bathed in carbon fibre. Up here, carbon fibre. Down here, carbon fibre, carbon fibre. Active air intakes down here. It's bathed in the stuff, but less so than the Electra. This is a bit more refined, I would say. Now it still looks very sporty and sleek with these two LED lights down here. And this is kind of reminding me of a concept from Lotus a few years ago when they brought out 5 concepts in 1 year. I like how they've kind of carried that over. Now, as you can see right behind me is my Lotus, and this is very different from the Emeyar. Look, that's all not carbon fibre, fiberglass. It's super basic. Look, down here, all very, very simple. No LiDAR, and it's absolutely tiny. As you can see, very small. I've been driving through a lot of mud today. Look, and this car is not really about the engine in here. It's a 1.8 litre K series, not particularly spectacular, but it's all about how this drives, how this goes around the corners. And this is why I bought this car, because I wanted to drive it around corners, see what it's like to drive fast around corners. And it's unbelievable. It's 725 kilograms. I love this car. I will never sell this car. This is kind of a chroma flare paint, so it changes colour depending on the angle you're looking at it. It's kind of a blue and a silver and a blue and a silver. These are beautiful 21-inch wheels, and there's beautiful brakes down there in red. The red brake calipers down there. Again, carbon fibre up here. Now, the thing is, I don't really know how much weight all this carbon fibre saves. I think it's just for aesthetics, because this is a heavy car. And you can't really hide the fact that it's got a massive battery underneath and twin motors at both ends of the car. Now, whatever angle you look at this car, I think it looks fantastic. And there's proper back seats with loads and loads of space for my bags. And we'll go in there a bit later on. And you can see here, the sill is pretty chunky, but bathed again in carbon fibre underneath here. I do want to show you the back end of this, because this is where kind of there's a few boo-boos, I would say. First of all, there's aero in here. That goes all the way through to the wheel, but it also means it picks up all stones and rubbish from the floor on both sides. So you're gonna have to PPF wrap that. Carbon fibre wing, which is pretty pointless. And I actually think through here, you can actually see the sky. So there's an actual gap through here to help with that downforce. It comes with about 90 kilograms of downforce thanks to all these parts around the car. Again, more carbon fibre down here, purely for aesthetics. Again, Lotus NYO up here, and the most important thing, R+. Now, if we have a quick look at the boot, we have around 400 litres of boot space. It's a pretty decent sized boot, again with a false floor with your charging cables down there. And we've got this, which pops out over here. That's kind of the practical side, that's the exterior. But what I want to tell you about is the interior, because that's pretty spectacular as well. Let's go have a look. So you may be wondering why I'm wearing this Lotus jacket. Well, actually, I own a Lotus myself. It's an old Lotus Elise, the first generation, and I bought it a few years ago to experience what a fun little sporty car. Yes, it's a petrol car, but it only does about 1,000 miles a year. But I wanted to see what a pure driver's car was like, and then I wanted to compare that to this. So I'm sitting in my very own Lotus Elise, and this is as basic as it gets. Here's my very simple keys, and if I just turn the camera around, I mean, this is it. I've got 2 dials up here, I've got my heating controls, That's third party to get CarPlay in here. But look, that's the chassis. That's the aluminium chassis. All of this, that's all the actual support. There's no luxury in here. Wind down windows. There's no adjustment for this. I had to put my hand out and adjust that myself. And I've got some lights and stuff here. That is it. This is as basic as it gets. And this is what Lotus was once famous for. Now, this is vastly different from that, of course. It's electric, it's made in China, it's got self-driving technology, it has loads and loads of different elements in here which are completely different from my Elise. The Elise I have is well over 20 years old, about 25 years old now, I think. But there are some elements in here which have been carried over in the design. So for example, along here, it's the same as the strip in an Elise. It's a very simple kind of dashboard, and they've managed to fit in two pretty cool looking screens in here. You don't always need the biggest and brightest and best screens. These two minimalist screens at the front here give me exactly the right amount of information. This screen here is very premium, very high end. I've actually managed to put it into English, and it's kind of got the right amount of functionality within this. Now, one thing my Elise does not have is flappy paddles. Excuse me, it doesn't have flappy paddles. All I've got in here is paddles to adjust my regen and adjust my drive modes up here. So I can adjust from sport mode to track mode to individual mode. But basically in here, this is a very well thought out interior. Although it's not to everyone's taste, and it's a very big step away for Lotus to have this level of quality and kind of interior perfection, I really like the direction it's going in. There is, again, way too much carbon fibre, and Geely's piano black supplier's just about got his finger in around this drive mode over here. So the back is really where this car excels, because this is a backseat experience like I have never experienced before. First of all, Lotuses don't really have backseats, so how do they define what the back of a Lotus looks like? But I can tell you, these are properly like bucket seats, exactly the same as my front seat, which has bolsters which squeeze you in if you change the track mode. In here, it's the same. Material, finish, fixtures, quality are extremely high in here. But there's some really unique features. So first of all, I have a flippy screen. And with this flippy screen, I can change the adjustment of my seat. It can massage. You know, this is not very Lotus. I can change the sound. But then I can also change the ceiling. So I can basically black out the ceiling in these different patterns depending on what I want to cover up. How interesting is that? How not Lotus is that? Look, it's very quick as well. So, you know, if it's a sunny day, which is not today with our British weather, I can change all of that. I can change the whole screen. I can change it to clear. Incredible what they've been able to squeeze in the back here. Now, practically, you're losing that middle seat to this area down here with I suppose, a fridgy bit down there for your tinnies or whatever you need to put in there. It doesn't keep it cold. Whoops. And it's got a soft close. So would I like to spend a long time in this back on a long journey? Absolutely, I would. Would I spend a long time in my Lotus Elise? No, because after about 45 minutes, your back aches and it's difficult to get in and out. But this, I like this direction that they're heading in, and I like that they have to revolutionise. Lotus have always been about evolution and revolution with lightweightness and material, you know, different types of materials and aerodynamics. And this is just a evolution in a different area into interiors and the interior space of what a Lotus should look like. Do I think they've really hit the nail on the head just yet? Not quite, but they've started the journey, and that, for me, is the most important thing. And why do I think this is one of the best cars or best electric cars on the market? Because of this, what I'm doing right now, driving on country roads, because this is what this car is all about. And I was very surprised. I didn't think a heavy electric car from Lotus would be anything much to shout about. But as soon as you bring it on an open road like this, it comes alive. It's absolutely brilliant. Actual real steering feel. There's feeling from the road. It's very dynamic. I can feel all the bumps. It's borrowing a lot from my Lotus Elise, in fact, and I feel the shared DNA between the two. Now, of course, this is never going to be exactly the same. That's a tinny 725 kilogram car. This however, managed to capture the essence, the DNA of what driving a Lotus is like. But instead I've got a lot more luxury, a lot more premium features, a lot more tech, and I've got 2 seats in the back for 2 actual proper fully grown adults. Like, I'm very surprised and actually delighted. As obviously a bit of a Lotus fan, I think the problem is that this car has a staggering like 900 and something horsepower, 905 horsepower, dual electric motors. That is too much. It's simply too much. You do not ever need 905 horsepower unless you're going on track. But even on track, I'm going to argue having that much horsepower is too much. I mean, why do you need that for a road car? Yes, I put my foot down. It goes 0 to 60 in 2.6 something seconds or 2.9 something seconds. Does it really matter? Not really. So it's insanely fast. But look, I was on a mountain road. The top speed there is 60 kilometers an hour. You can't do those kind of speeds on public roads. So then what is this car about? Well, it's about blasting it in the mountain roads a little bit, using maybe track mode through using my paddles here. But what it's really for is motorway cruising and blatting down the highway or the autobahn and enjoying yourself while doing it in lots of comfort, lots of refinement with tech, with CarPlay. I've got CarPlay in here, which is really useful for me. And just enjoying the ride, because no other electric car rides like this. It's either suspension, the steering feel, the braking, the modulation of the accelerator, all of those in this car. I've never felt anything like it before in any other electric car. I felt aspects of these in petrol cars, but as an all-round package with all of this, I mean, for me, what this brand really missing is that kind of in-between car. Lotus has always been a car brand for people who couldn't afford a Porsche, but wanted the thrills of a B-road blaster on the weekend. And Lotus always filled that gap very well, is that affordable kind of Porsche. Very much what Xiaomi have done with the SU7. This here should be more like that, having all of that performance and dynamic handling, but for Xiaomi prices, or, you know, a lot less money. If this was half the price or 2/3 of the price, I think it would sell extremely, extremely well. This is a very good Taycan alternative. And obviously, if it was me, I would definitely get the Lotus. You know, it's very hard to summarize this up as a Lotus owner. I'm conflicted as whether I like this direction or I think this is the right direction to go in. But what I do like is how this car drives. And for me, if every Chinese manufacturer had a car which focused on the driving like this, then the cars coming out from China will be so, so much better. This really, for me, is all about the driving, and for me, makes me so happy. Well done, Lotus.